It was 1:58 a.m. when the knock came. I remember the time because I checked my phone right after my heart jumped out of my chest. I had fallen asleep on the couch, the TV still playing quietly in the background. For a split second, I thought the sound was part of a dream. Then the knock came again, slower, softer, almost unsure. No one knocks on a door at that hour unless something is wrong. I stood up, suddenly wide awake, and walked toward the door. I didn't look through the peephole. I don't know why. I just opened it. She was standing there, my neighbor. Her hair was messy, like she had run her fingers through it 100 times. Her eyes were red and swollen, her face pale. She was wearing a thin sweater that didn't look warm enough for the night air, and her hands were shaking. "I'm sorry," she said immediately, like she was afraid I might shut the door. "I know it's late, but can I talk to you?" There was something in her voice that made my chest tighten. "Yeah," I said, stepping aside. "Of course." She walked in slowly and sat on the edge of the couch, her posture stiff, like she didn't feel like she belonged there. I sat in the chair across from her. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The silence was heavy. Finally, she took a deep breath. "My husband left today," she said. I didn't interrupt. I just nodded, giving her space to continue. "He packed a bag," she went on. "Didn't yell, didn't argue. He just said he was done." Her voice cracked on the last word. She stared at the floor like she was afraid to look at me. "Before he walked out," she said quietly, "he turned around and said, 'When I look at you now, I don't feel anything anymore.'" That sentence hung in the air between us. I had no idea what to say. There are moments when words feel useless, and this was one of them. Tears rolled down her face, but she didn't bother wiping them away. After a few seconds, she finally looked up at me. "I don't think I can be alone tonight," she said. "I'm not asking for anything weird. I just, I don't trust my own thoughts right now." She hesitated, then added, "Would it be okay if I stayed here?" I felt my heart speed up, but not because of attraction or tension. It was something else. Responsibility, maybe, or empathy. "Of course," I said without thinking. "You can stay as long as you need." Her shoulders dropped, like she'd been holding her breath for hours. She slept on the couch. I gave her a blanket and went to my bedroom. But sleep never came. I lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about how quickly a life can fall apart, how someone you share years with can just decide they're done, how fragile people really are, even the ones who seem strong. When I finally woke up, sunlight was creeping through the curtains. I walked into the kitchen and started making coffee. A minute later, I heard her footsteps behind me. "Good morning," she said softly. She looked different in the daylight. Still tired, still sad, but calmer. "Morning," I replied. "Coffee?" She nodded. As she took the mug from my hand, she looked at me and said, "Thank you for not making last night awkward." I frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" "A lot of people would have misunderstood," she said, "or tried to turn it into something else. You didn't. You just let me exist." That stuck with me. Over the next few days, we started talking more. At first, it was just polite conversation in the hallway, then longer chats, then coffee together. Eventually, evening walks around the block. She told me things she said she'd never told anyone before, about her marriage, about how lonely she'd felt even before her husband left, about how she blamed herself. I listened. One night while we were sitting on a bench outside, she looked at me and said, "You know what scares me the most?" "What?" I asked. "That after someone breaks you," she said, "the next person who's kind feels dangerous, because you don't know if they're real or if it's temporary." I didn't answer right away. Instead, I said, "I'm not going anywhere." She looked at me, surprised. Then she smiled, just a little. That was the moment I realized something. Not all connections start with sparks or attraction. Some start with pain, some start with silence, some start at 2 a.m. with a knock on the door and someone who just needs to not be alone. And sometimes the people who change your life forever don't come in looking for love. They come looking for safety.